Hi y'all, welcome to the Craft Table Podcast. My name is Tori. You can reach me or see what I'm working on through my Instagram account or the Making app at the Craft Table Podcast. If you'd rather send an email, you can send an email at thecrafttablepodcast@gmail.com. I am pretty receptive, and if you have any questions, especially about today's episode, I'll be able to reach out to you and answer anything you might have. Today might be a pretty short episode, even though I'm going to be talking about my fleece. The lighting is odd because I had a really long day at work and we were finishing a big project. So my normal lunch hour, I couldn't record. So I'm recording a little late as the sun is going down. So I apologize for the ring light and just like the very dark lighting. My house gets pretty dark, unfortunately. So there's not a lot of windows in the house in general on the first floor, so I apologize for that. Aside from that, I do have quite a bit of progress to share with you, and some information about my fleece, because I did finally start processing the Cormo cross fleece. I should probably start there. So I'm getting rid of my fin fleece to someone in a Patreon group for the woolen spinning that I pay for every month. I'm not enjoying it. It's not bringing me joy, and the Cormo that I have matches in shade to the project I'm working on. So even though it's gonna be a medium wool compared to a fine wool, there's gonna be some difference. The coloring won't have an issue. So I'm hoping that everything will balance out the way that I spin it up and it'll be okay. But enough about that. Cormo, just like a brief summary, Cormo is a very, very large sheep. It's one of the larger sheep breeds, I should say. It is also a very soft wool. It's a fine wool. So it's very, very soft. It is comparable to merino. I personally think it's better than merino in softness, and it's got a lot of loft to it, which is always nice, and it's very springy, kind of like targy springy, but a little different. It's very nice. It's very similar to targy, just not as spongy. Whereas targy is really spongy, Cormo is really squishy and soft, if that makes any sense. It's kind of hard to explain without being able to share texture with y'all. So, and the staple length is pretty long. Mine, here I'll show you mine, a sample of mine. It's pretty good. It's about 6 to 7 inches. It's a Cormo cross, so it's not full Cormo. I don't know what the cross is, so I don't know how that impacts the fleece, but it is very long, very airy, as you can kind of see. It is sun bleached at the tips, so I've got this great suggestion. It wasn't a suggestion, it was just what Taylor Owen was doing. Oh, you see a little bean. She was trimming the tips because hers was also sun bleached, I believe, or something. She just didn't like the tips, and because it's a long enough staple length, it doesn't harm, it doesn't really impact the way that I'm processing this fleece. It actually is kind of helping with cutting back on some of the length with my hand carders, and it's keeping the color pretty consistent, so I don't have these like brown blonde tips kind of impacting the color. But it's really great. It's been really wonderful. It's been fun to process. You can see kind of it's not got a lot of crimp in it, unfortunately. The tips do, but the rest of it doesn't, so you can kind of see it's pretty airy and pretty straight. Not a lot of crimp whatsoever. I'm really enjoying it. I am hand carding it on my student hand carders into bat lengths just because of how long the staple length is. It's easier to just roll it off rather than try and make rollags. I'm just kind of pulling and folding it off of my hand carders, and this is what the batlings look like. It's because of the ring light, you're not getting the gray as much, but it's a pretty soft gray. It's very airy. And just see how much air is in that. Like, it's very, very airy, and it's making for a really good spin because I'm spinning long draw with how long the staple length is. It's been a really fun joy to spin up. I've already done a mini skein for sampling to put into my cardigan. I'll share that with you. You can't tell, hold on, sorry, this is like awkward with how I've got it going, but you can't tell from where the Cormo starts and where the fin ends, which is really nice. This is a Cormo right in here, this little bit here. I haven't spun up enough to do a whole lot. I'm actually working on my first full bobbin. I am doing a 2-ply still. The spin is going a lot easier and the carding is going a lot easier. It's a lot more enjoyable for me, so it's going very quickly. I am very much enjoying it. It's gonna change the way my cardigan drapes, because the fin was very drapey with no elasticity, whereas the Cormo doesn't have as much elasticity, or not as much drape, but it's got more elasticity. So I am not sure how that will impact the cardigan overall, but I only did the fin in the top portion before splitting for the sleeves, so I don't think it'll be too much of, I think if I had split it down the middle, then I could probably see a big difference, but I don't think there will be a big difference. So that's just kind of what I'm doing with my Cormo fleece. It was 7.5 pounds, so it's pretty big, and I'm liberally removing pieces that I don't want to spin because it's a lot to process by myself. So if I don't like it, or it's just got too much of the sun bleaching, I just remove it, and I'm gonna have plenty. It takes about 3 pounds, 3-ish pounds to do a full sweater for me, so 7.5, I'm gonna have plenty. I'm not even worried about it. I'm gonna have extra, I know. So that's what I'm doing with my Cormo. So now I'm gonna share my, and that's what I've been spinning on. So I haven't spun on anything else but the Cormo as I'm processing it. And then I've been knitting, and I finally did what I said I was going to do and split for the sleeves on the Kingston Cardi. So I did knit up a little bit on the body so that there was enough there so that I could start the sleeve. Not a whole lot done, just because I need to spin more, but I'm glad to finally have split for the sleeves. This pattern was a bit of a slog to get to that point because of my stitch count, and I'm losing some weight right now, so I don't even think this pattern, the pattern size that I chose, it's gonna be a little too extra, more, it's gonna have more ease than the original 7 to 10 inches that was intended for the size that you pick. So it's gonna be more like, what did I measure out? So it's 58 inches is what I picked for the full bust, and right now my bust is 45.5. So it's a little bit more than what is suggested, but I didn't expect to lose any weight, so that's kind of, and I'm not really able to control it right now. So whatever happens, happens. The larger size is a little bit frustrating to knit just because of how much it's taking up, but it's been really satisfying to see the progress that I've made so far. And I think the middle of June, like I said last week, is when this should be completed. The test knit should be completed. So I'm hoping that I will have plenty of time. We're almost at the end of May. I don't know. I really don't want to fail this test knit, but we'll see. We'll see. I think because I'm spinning and prepping as I go, that it's impacting the time it's taking to make this garment, but it's going to be a garment that I wear consistently and really enjoy. So I'm looking forward to that. In between knitting and spinning for that, I have been knitting on my sock during the day at work. I showed it to you last week, and I had started the heel flap, but I've now done the full turn. Oh, that ring light is not showing the colors very well. You can see it's better back here. Yeah, it's a little bit better. You can kind of see the pattern in here. But I've gotten just a little bit into the foot. It's been really enjoyable. I'm loving the texture and the stretchiness and the color. So I will probably put this on the back burner for now, though, as I try and get my cardigan sorted. But I have been knitting a little bit, so I've made a little bit of progress here and there. I have also been crocheting granny squares when I just cannot knit anymore, like the small circumference of the socks and the tiny needles of the socks, and then the small circumference with the short needles on my sleeves have kind of made like this portion of my hand hurt really bad. So I've had to like put on a hold, but I've still wanted to like do something. So I've been crocheting more granny squares for that project I mentioned a couple weeks ago, the cardigan. Just using some minis from my advent of woolen minis from a couple years ago from Plies and Hellhounds. It's just been really fun and enjoyable. I've done quite a few. They're quick and easy, and I'm enjoying them. So that's kind of what I've been working on. I haven't been really working on anything else. My time has been pretty busy with doing odds and ends and just trying to get my fleece prepped and cleaned, because I'm also cleaning it as I go. I did share photos of that process on my Instagram account, so if you want to see kind of what I was working with, pre-washing and pre-prepping, or carding rather, you can see that in the photos, and you can kind of see how dirty that fleece was, because it is an uncoated fleece. I should say that that fleece was uncoated, so it's got the sun bleached tips, it's got a lot of VM in it, vegetable matter, and it's definitely very, very dirty compared to the fin and my coated fleece that I had. But the way that I'm cleaning it this year, I've noticed that the lanolin, whatever I'm doing is working, and the lanolin is not staying, and I'm not making it worse and sticky. So yay, that's great. I'm learning. I'm really proud of myself. But yeah, that's just kind of what I've been doing. I haven't been really doing a whole lot. I've just kind of been working slowly at my own pace. I don't have any plans for any projects or anything like that. I just am trying to get stuff done, and I'm enjoying the slow process of the spinning and the carding finally, now that I'm not struggling through the fin. I don't really have much else to share with y'all. I haven't bought anything. I still did not grab my mushroom skeins, but I'll share those eventually. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I haven't done anything. Haven't bought anything. Been staying home. Been working. Work has been a little stressful. This is the first time since starting this new job that it's been stressful. I've had my first stress nightmare about a project. So, but I finished that project today, thankfully. So I'm looking forward to like having it not be as stressful again, which is like fingers crossed, right? Every job is stressful, but I'd like to have a tiny break again. But yeah, I'm not really doing anything crazy. I made it through the small heat wave. It was miserable. My house doesn't have AC, so it gets very hot, and we have to depend on, when I say we, I mean me and the girls, we have to depend on fans and window units that aren't necessarily the best. But oh well, we did it, we made it, we're okay. We all survived. Even though the cats and the poor dog were miserable. But it's a little bit cooler this week, and I'm hoping it stays that way. I do enjoy this kind of like 60s, 70s weather. Anything above that's when it gets rough living in a swamp, as I do for whatever godforsaken reason I chose to do that. But I love it here, so I guess I can't complain too much, right? Yeah, I don't have any big plans for next weekend. I know that some people do like cowls, like quick cowls, like Andrea Mowry does a cowl for a hat every year during this time. I'm not participating in anything like that. I'm just gonna have a quiet weekend. I'm gonna just hang out and craft. Will you guys be doing that? Will you be crafting, or do you have like big plans for Memorial Day weekend if you're in the States? I know that's not universal. So if you're in the States, or if you're not in the States, do you spend holidays crafting, or do you like do stuff with your family? I know that I plan to do some crafting since I'm on my own and kind of just hang out. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. I hope you guys have a good week, that you're kind and gentle to yourselves, and you do something nice and you get some crafting in. I will see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Bye.